Hello, I'm Coach Natalie, and welcome to this episode of Jiu Jitsu for Dummies. Now today we're going to be working on more Brabo chokes, and then this time it's going to be from the guard position. Now, if you remember from episode 17, the Brabo choke is a choke that you can do when you've been rolling around for a little bit and maybe your opponent's gi is kind of loose. You can kind of use that to your benefit, so it's pretty simple. Let's check it out. Okay, I'm going to start when Sally, my opponent here, is in my closed guard. Now Sally, she and I have been rolling. I realize that her gi is kind of loose. Even if it's not, we'll loosen it. First thing I'm going to do, besides closing my guard, is I'm going to break her posture. I actually want her head to be down, close towards me. And there's a few benefits. We'll talk about that a little bit. I'm going to hold her head down. Actually can even be holding onto my own gi. That really helps break her posture. Now, with this hand, with the right hand, I'm going to start loosening her gi corner here. I don't have to hold the whole fabric. I just really need to focus on this rib part of the lapel. That's especially reinforced since, it gives it good gripping. I'm going to pull it just as far as I can. With my hands pointed down, I'm now going to start feeding that to the hand behind her head. You can see hand down, hand down. I'm now going to start pulling my left hand back. That's really going to start securing her down to me. Now, I'm now going to take my hand and I'm going to get it underneath her chin with my hand upwards, and I'm giving you a little bit more space to see than I would normally be giving. With my hand up, I'm now going to feed it to my right hand. So my hand was down. Now I'm feeding it to my lapel, the lapel to my right hand. My hand is up. Now, I want to be reaching back as far as I possibly can while still keeping my wrist nice and straight. I don't really want to curve my wrist this way. I want to reach back as far as I can, but my hand is up. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the back of her neck, hand down, foot on the ground. I'm now going to cut the corner. As you can kind of see, now I'm looking right in this corner here. Put her head through my arm loop, and with one hand up, one hand down, start to pull the elbows towards me. And we have something that's almost like a cross collar choke. So let's see that again. Again, Sally's going to be my hat in my closed guard. My legs, closing behind her. Again, Sally and I have been rolling. Maybe this is loose, maybe it's not. In any case, I'm pulling her towards me. Maybe I'm even holding onto my own gi. That's really breaking her posture. So, grabbing onto her gi, pulling just as tight as I can, because I'm going to need as much fabric as I can. Feed it underneath her underarm, fingers down. Now, I'm going to feed it behind her neck. Again, my hand is downward. Pulling, pulling, pulling. Now with this hand that's freed up, I'm going underneath her chin. And now I'm going to be grabbing the fabric with my palm up, reaching back as far as I can. Now, with this hand, I'm now going to put it behind her neck. To do the next step, it's going to be best if I cut an angle. So I'm going to put my foot on the floor, still keeping my other foot on her back to really help still break her posture. Now, I'm going to get her head through this arm loop. And with this hand down, this hand up, bringing her elbows to me, and that is almost like a cross collar choke. So, seems pretty simple. There's still some mistakes that people can make. The first one would be failure to break her posture. Now, if you don't break your opponent's posture, there's a couple of things that can go wrong. First of all, if they're sitting upright, they can grip fight you. You know, they can defend themselves. No one's going to just sit there and, you know, allow themselves to be choked. So if they see you're trying to grab grips, they can fight those. We call that grip fighting. So if they're sitting up, there's room to grip fight. If you're keeping them down, really there's no space for there to do that. Second of all, you're trying to get this fabric behind their head, and that can be sometimes hard, especially if they're a big person. They don't have a lot of fabric left. If you're holding them closer to you, it's easier to be able to reach behind them and get that fabric, feed it to the other side. And then the final thing is, if you're breaking their posture, they're just looking down at your chest. They can't see what you're doing. Now, if they feel that you're, you know, pulling on their gi, that might have a good chance that you might be doing a Brabo choke or some other kind of gi or lapel choke. So, you know, there is that. But in general, it's best for them not to see what you're doing. Another mistake would be, now when I first learned the Brabo choke, I thought I needed to grab the whole tail of the fabric. As it turns out, really, you really just need to grab this part of the lapel. Now, if you've ever worn a lapel out, gi out, as I have, you actually start to see that there's plastic running through this rib here. So it's specially reinforced. So you really don't need to grab the whole lapel tail. You just need to grab the rib. If you try to grab the whole tail, then you can kind of burn out your grips because, well, it's just tiring. So just grab the rib of the fabric, if you can. Like all gi strangles, what I'm trying to do is reach my hands back behind their head as far as possible. I'm not choking them with the fabric. I'm going to actually be choking them with my wrist and my side of my forearm on either side of their neck. Now, I'm using the fabric as a handle, as a grip. I'm not choking them with the fabric. I'm just holding on to it, and my hands are kind of like a hinge. Kind of like those nut crackers. There's a tiny little hinge and there's those very long arms, and you put a nut in there and you squeeze it. It's not the hinge, you know, choking the nut. It's those two metal bars, you know, pressing onto the nut and, you know, cracking open the nut. So your hands do the very same thing. The gi fabric in the back is just like a little hinge. So reach back as far as you can. But related to that, sometimes in my efforts to reach back as far as I could, I, you know, curved my hand around their neck just to, you know, reach as far back as I could. My professor pointed out that we're trying to make use of this bone. If I curve my hand around their neck, really that bone is hidden. While you want to reach back as far as possible, you really also want to keep your wrist straight. Even better, you want to grab that fabric and then actually point your wrist away. So really that bone on the side of your wrist is really pressing into your neck. So break their posture, only grab the rib of the lapel, not the whole fabric. Reach as deep as you can, but also keep your wrist straight, or even better yet, maybe kind of point them out opposite the neck. So let's check out this variation. We'll have another variation in 2 seconds. We'll do this one again. Close guard. Again, Sally's in my closed guard. I've known this, you know, that maybe this is loose, maybe it's not, that's fine. First thing I'm gonna do is break her posture. I'm grabbing my own lapel so it helps, you know, strengthen this grip. With this free hand, I'm fishing the fabric out from underneath her underarm. Pulling it just as tight as it can be. You'll see that my hand is pointed downwards. Now, as soon as I can, I'm gonna pull it, feed it to my other hand, hand still pointing down. I can now cinch this really tight. So between my closed guard and me holding her down like this, she really just can't get up. So pull it down, feed it to the opposite side of her neck. Now this hand now is free, palm size up. I'm now reaching over and feeding it to this opposite side of her neck. Now, remember, I'm trying to feeding it as far as I can in, but I'm also trying to keep my wrists straight. Last thing I'm going to do, hands down, grab my hand onto the back of her neck. Now, what I'm going to be doing is putting my foot on the floor, cut the corner, and you got the Brabo choke. Now, very recently, this week in fact, I learned a variation of this Brabo choke, which is I guess actually done by my teacher's teacher named Megaton, and he likes this choke, so it's a variation, so let's check it out. So it's going to start off the same way. Someone's going to be in your closed guard. Again, you're going to break their posture. Hold on to the gi. Loosen the fabric. Palm side down. Going to feed it to the other hand. Again, palm down. Okay. Still going to be feeding it to the opposite side of their neck. Palm up. Now, instead of me putting my hand in the back of their neck to kind of cause a loop, you know, arm loop, what I'm going to be doing with this hand here, I'm going to take a cuff grip or a pistol grip or whatever, and I'm going to take this arm here and I'm going to shuck it across my chest. Now, try to shuck it as far as I can. I need to have their elbow right in the middle of my chest. So, with my right hand now, I'm going to pull down just as hard as I can, because it's really going to trap this arm, their right arm, or their left arm, between them and me. Pulling down. Now, last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab with this hand and I'm going to overhook, grab the lapel or the top of the fabric, and the last thing I'm going to do is going to pull. I'm pulling this way, I'm pulling this way. What I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to compress everything together. So this becomes a choke because my right hand, my right arm is on one side of their neck, and their own arm is on the other side of their neck, kind of like a neck sandwich. And then I'm grabbing onto this fabric, and really compressing them. So this arm is, as I said, choking them. Now, the mistake that I would see here is not shucking this arm far enough. If you're right now, their elbow is right in the middle of my chest. If you don't pull it far enough, they could pull it out. So that is a mistake. Again, you're going to be in your closed guard. You're going to break their posture. Grab the lapel. Get the fabric here, palm down, feed it, again palm down, really pull it, cinch it. Hand up now, feed it to the other side. So, normally what I would be doing at this point is grabbing the gi, cutting the corner, forcing their head through my arm. But what I'm going to do is take this hand again. This is a cuff grip, or I guess I could use a pistol grip, but a cuff grip seems to make a lot of sense. I'm going to shuck this arm just as far as I can over. Their elbow is on my chest, and I'm actually trapping their elbow so that their arm really isn't going to go anywhere. Last thing I'm going to do is grab, overhook the whole thing, reach as far as I can on this opposite side here, and pull. And there you go. As I mentioned, that is the a choke that's done by my teacher's teacher. His name is Megaton, so he likes it, and you know, hopefully you can play around with that a little bit. That might be an extra variation. So, thank you for joining me for this episode of Jiu Jitsu for Dummies. We're our 46th video, and I'm at 87 subscribers, so it's a race. Will I get to 50 videos, or will I get to 100 subscribers? I'm not quite sure which will come first. I did promise everyone something special for each one of those milestones. So thank you, everyone who's helped get us this far, either suggesting topics for videos, to subscribing and getting other people to subscribe. Really appreciate your support. Thank you again. Join you next week. We'll probably continue to do things with this Brabo grip. It's really super handy, so probably make more videos using that grip. So in the meantime, thank you again for your support and for joining me for this episode of Jiu Jitsu for Dummies.